And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I was just thinking it's been a little while since I did an official class, but the last two that I did were kind of more like demonstrating whatever series I had, which was educational at the same time. But let me open up with just a nice basic traditional song here, and then I'll tell you what I did, and then we'll get into some class topics. So here we go. Thank you. Hold the applause. Please stay seated. Oh. All right. So I was looking for, let me just make sure I'm giving good information here. I was looking for a style. I'm not 100% confident in my answer, but I think it's right. There was a style that was on the Liberty, and it was called 50s Gospel. And I figured I'd look for it here. And so what I did is on the A models, from the Liberty on up, on the A models, you have right here in the panel, there's a More button that gives you the access to the pianists and guitarists styles. And so on here, if you can see that okay, let me change the screen here so we can have, let's see, full screen. Okay, so on the home screen here, so the top part, the top two represents all the models that have the double screen, okay? This is mainly the tabs and sounds and so forth. So focus on the top, which most people have on their model. Now, if you only have the one screen, that's the home screen, and every time you activate something on here, it'll show up on there, but functionally that works the same, okay? So if you have the Liberty or higher, or you're going to have the Liberty soon, there is a group called More. Okay, now when the Marquis was introduced for you, Marquis and Grand Marquis and Aria owners, as you know, the panel, the panel that on the dashboard, even though the styles are located in the same place, some of the naming of the styles, the categories were changed. So for example, instead of a big band button, you have standards. Okay, country was country, Broadway, soft and easy was no longer a button, it was, or ballad, they call it smooth. Three-quarter was three-quarter. So some of the wording changed because as they added new styles to the instrument, what happened is Lowrey got to the point, I think, this is my theory or very strong educated guess, they were adding so many styles to the variations that they're running out of places to put them under that same category name. So for example, the one that I use examples a lot is Slum Doggy was a style they introduced. It was a kind of a music that represented from the movie Slumdog Millionaire and was kind of a Middle East kind of a feel, what have you. and they put it under the polka march button. And I always thought that was kind of strange. But that's the only place they were able to do it. So what happened is when the new series came out, it gave them an opportunity to retitle these. And so you'll find that if you have an A model going into the marquee, that some of the styles are not located in what would usually be in the same place. So what they did was for you marquee owners, and I can't demonstrate it on here, I'm going to have to demonstrate it by telling you, and then you can kind of see it on the screen here. So you'll see on there's a button called Style Suites, and on the Grand Marquee here, you'll see that it says movies and plays and organs and vocals and island and so forth. And then if you go to the next page, you'll see it has by decades and so forth. On the marquee, you're going to see on the screen, on your screen, it'll actually show the button names that were on the A models. So for example, on a Prestige, Sterling, Patriot, Liberty, there's a big band of Foxtrot button. Well, on the marquee, if you activate Style Suite, you'll see, instead of movies and plays, it'll say Big Band Foxtrot, okay? And that was, the idea that was just to give people a chance to access the rhythms the way they were used to. On the Grand Marquee in the Aria, I don't know if you could see it down here, but towards the bottom there's a button that says Classic Styles. So when I touch that, it's kind of blurry, just the way, it's not the camera, it's the way this, I think this TV's too big for this screen. So the more you blow it up, the more pixelated. But this panel right here is identical to the, really starting on the Sterling. When the Sterling was introduced, instead of having 24 buttons on the panel, they put two buttons. So I don't know if you could see that, but it says Big Band and Foxtrot, okay? So there's two buttons in one. Country 1 and Country 2, so they didn't have to do anything, but there's one country button. And that says Soft and Easy and Ballad and so forth. So this is the panel, they call it Classic Styles. This is the panel that would be on what was the A models, okay? And then if for example, I knew that I want to play Unforgettable with the Unforgotten style, I don't know where it's at on the new panel, but I remember it being on the pop button. So what I would do is just touch that, and it'll give me right now it's on the R&B, go to the next page, and it says Unforgotten up there, okay? If I want Chicago Swing, and I'm not sure where it's at, I remember it's under the Big Band button. So I just touch Big Band, and then it gives me all of, that's the A models, okay? So I'll try to kind of go back and forth so everybody, depending on the model you have, the class will pertain, all right? One last one, Jumpin' Jazz was always under Special. And a lot of people say, why didn't they put it under Big Band? Well, they ran out of room in the variations of Big Band, so they'd have put it over there. So when I touch it, I find Jumpin' Jazz, and that's on the Classic and Special. There's Jumpin' Jazz. And then when I activate it, it'll actually set up the panel. It'll tell you where it's now located on the new panel. Okay? So that's not really part of the class today, but the reason why I got caught up into that is because I was looking for 50s. Now, there are going to be some styles that are the same, but they're worded differently. So, for example, I was looking for 50s gospel, is what I think it's called. I just knew how to get there before. And it used to be under the More button. So if you touch the More, you'll see it had all of the new styles that the Liberty introduced. Pay close attention, Donald. On your organ, if you push the More button, There's a whole new page of styles there. And I go to the next page, there's another page of styles. And you go to the next page, there's another page of styles. Let me see what happens next. Oh, and that's all. And then the pianist and guitarist is separate. So you can see that right there, okay? But what I was looking for was 50s gospel. And I couldn't find it. And I think it's reworded as basic gospel 2. So anyway, that was a long answer to why I thought this was the 50s gospel. But you got a little history. You're going to have a pop quiz at the end of the class, okay? All right. I have a topic that's I want to talk about. I never really did a class on this or part of a class on this. And it's almost not even operationally driven. It's more musically driven, but I think it's worth mentioning. And this came up the other day in one of my classes, actually yesterday in a class, and it's come up in the past. And over the years, I've met people that said, you know, I had so-and-so over, a friend that played a harmonica, or they played piano, or they played a different instrument. And we were going to play together, and it just so happens that I play everything in the key of C, and they wanted to play the song in a different key, and so they went on the organ here and used the transposer. And sometimes everything works out, but I've had a few times students say, well, we got in this big argument about what key I was playing in. And so I thought this would be a good chance really for you, plus it's being recorded, so you'll have a chance to go back to understand the way the transposer works on these instruments. There are some models out there that don't use this system. It works the same, but it's labeled differently. And so a lot of times students mistakenly give the wrong information, incorrect information based on what key they're playing. So let's start with, I'm going to pull up the screen here so you can see it. All right. Now I think what I'm going to do for the purpose of this, I'm going to switch the screen so you could see the left. Okay, now that's a lot easier to see, right? So you could see right there, it says transpose, and what does it say?
C.
C. All right. Now, if you use Easy Play Music, we know, you know, that a majority of our songs are obviously written in the key of C, aren't they?
Yep.
And obviously that's done strategically by companies like Hal Leonard and Lowrey. Of course, they made their class books wrapped around Hal Leonard and Easy Play. And over the years, that's how we still today, we sell organs based on how easy the music is, and how the fact that a majority of the songs are written in C, okay? So right now it says that. What's another key that's real popular in Easy Play?
F.
I would say the second most popular is F. And then the third, if you call it most popular, that I see the most is G, right? Mm-hmm. Most C and F. And every now and then we get one that's actually, I had the class I did yesterday was on the song Up Where We Belong. And when it gets to a certain part of the song, it actually transposes up a half step. And so it remains with D flat on the music.
D flat has 6 black keys.
Yeah. But if you just follow the Easy Play, you're okay. But I'm not used to playing those notes and those chords. I was doing along one finger. Anyway. So I'm going to take a piece of music here. I got the Black Song book here. And it doesn't matter which song. Yeah, I never played this song. I have, but I'm, Mood Indigo. Okay. Now I have it on my
Okay,
computer
ready to go.
somewhere. I could screen share it, but I'll just do this so you guys can see that. First chord's in C. The general instruction that we say is always go by the last chord of the song. That typically, more than likely, will tell you the key of the song. It's common that way. For example, this one always stumps people. You ever heard of the song, Hey, Mr. Banjo?
Yeah.
I learned that song a long time ago. I used to have playing, Hey, Mr. Banjo, da 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 da. Okay, you see
Yep.
that?
Yeah, see.
So you look at it, first thing you say to yourself is that's in the key of
C.
C. You're right. But it ends in F.
Oh, what is it, F?
Why? What key is it in?
F.
Well, this is kind of one of those.
Transitions.
Yeah, this is one of those. What I just told you doesn't apply. This particular song starts in the key of C, and then partway through it transposes to F. So that's kind of like that 1 out of 100 songs that what I just told you doesn't apply. Okay? Let's take another song here. Here's one that gets people. You know the song Anytime? Anytime you're feeling lonely. Okay. So this is one of those great examples of what we just talked about. So people look at this song. If I put it in the right view here. Okay, wait, let me get it right. Okay. All right, can you see that okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. First chord is what?
A.
A. What's the key of the song?
Show me the last chord.
Okay, you're right. Last chord is
C.
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 Key of C. And the reason is, technically, a lot of songs have where that first chord, you see that it says no chord?
Yeah.
Technically,
They put a key signature in
technically
there to tell
there
you.
is a chord that's supposed to be there. In this case, if I was to put a chord there, it would be C. Okay? Anyway, that's just a little bit about the song what you're playing in. So, when you're playing any song that's in the key of C, this is the easy part. And you're using your transposer, it's pretty simple, cut and dry. This is the easy part. If your song is in the key of C and you change this transpose to whatever it says there, the key, you're playing the song in C by the music, but it'll actually sound like you're playing in the key of, in this case, it says
A flat.
A flat. It's pretty simple. That's where it's easy. So it doesn't matter as long as your keys in the sheet music is in the key of C. Whatever you have that at, okay, that's the key you're playing at. Now you know that when you count, if you go up, from transpose up, okay, it goes up. The sound transposes up. Oops. Oh, low voice. Oh. Okay. If you transpose down, it's going to go. So, but basically, so just keep that in mind. So you can go to F here, or you can go to F here. The difference is wherever you're playing it, playing the same note, but this time I'm going to go up this way. Okay, it's going to change the way it pitches. Okay, if you're ever using the transpose feature and you decide you just want to get back to C, okay, if you push both transpose buttons together just once, it'll put it right back to the C. Okay, there's some little things that will go back very quickly. But this is the part, and I have to finish this sheet because I got it started. This is the part where I've had some people say, I got into it, my friend. He was a such and such musician, and he was swearing up and down, and he wasn't playing in the right key. And I told him I am, and then sure enough, I said, well, what song were you playing? And then they found a song. Well, here's one. I left my heart in San Francisco. That wasn't the song, but the song they had happened to be in the same key. I think it's in this book. I know it is. Where are you? Oh, Can't Help Falling in Love, same one. Okay? The song's in the key of F, according to the Easy Play music, okay? So it's an F, it ends in F. And they said, you know, and he wanted to play in the key of B flat or E flat. So that's what I did, is I put the organ in E flat.
Oh.
Yeah. And he played the song, and the instrument he was playing, I don't remember the exact key, but and it didn't sound right, and he swore it was me, it was the organ. But here's what happens. So let me pull up this screen here. The way that the transposer works is this is only the true key you're playing in is if you're in the key of C, like I said. If you're playing a song in a different key, okay, on the music, and you use this transposer, you're not playing on what you see. So I'm going to transpose up to E flat, okay? I can go down or up. I'm going to go up in this case, and see how many times it takes for me to do it. 1, 2, 3, okay? So the organ says E flat, but how many times did it take to get there?
3.
3. And it's 3 half steps. Okay? So on the keyboard, now I got to switch the screen here. So on the keyboard, now I'm going to take away the transposer for a minute. All right, so here's F. Let me put on a different sound here. Put on piano with a touch. Whew, it's loud. Turn it down a little bit. Okay, so here's the F note. You see it? Can you see that red?
Yep.
I'm going to count up to 3 to E flat. 1, 2, 3. What note is that?
A flat.
A.
It's an, what is it? It's an
A flat.
It's an A
No,
flat.
It's A, yeah, it's A flat. You're right.
So I counted up 3 half steps, and half steps is every single note, white and black notes. So I'm starting on F. You don't count the one that you're on. 1, 2,
1, 2,
3.
3.
All right, now I'm going to transpose the organ up 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3, to like I did. So essentially, when I play this song in the key of F, I'm actually playing it in the key of
E flat.
A flat.
A flat,
A flat.
not E flat.
Oh.
Right.
Ooh,
Okay?
that's misleading.
And the reason why I'm telling you this is, on the off chance you're in that situation, or maybe for yourself, you say to yourself, I'm playing in a certain key. I want you to at least know musically, you're musically correct. So even though I transposed it to E flat, think of it in terms of I transposed it up 3 half steps.
Sure.
So if the song's in F, I'm playing the song in F, and I transpose it up 3 times, which we ended up at A flat. So if I leave it there, then technically when I play the song in F, I'm going to sound like I'm actually playing an A flat, not E flat. Okay? And it may be confusing, but I'd rather you at least hear it and know what the musical correct terminology. So for example, what I did is I started to put this chart together. So You can do this. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to transpose up. Okay. Oops. So if I transpose up, I guess I could do it a little bit better a little later, but you can get the idea. Yeah, I'll leave it close to it. Okay. So if I C is it, I'm going to call it 0. So if I transpose up one step, okay, when you transpose up to these letters, it's really considered 1/2 step. Okay, so you got to think in terms of that when you're playing in the key, anytime you transpose up, this is what you see on the screen. Let me put here. I was trying to figure out the easiest way that I'm going to put display. Okay, let's see. I thought this out of my head a little differently. I thought it'd be a little bit easier, but let's see. Let me just do this. This is what the step is. And the reason I'm doing this is because if you don't want to sit there and count, if you have this, you can automatically know how many steps to figure it out. So let's see here.
You always got to know the key you're starting in.
You do, but here's the thing. If you transpose the organ up, if you're, for example, if you're looking at it, you transpose it, let's say you got it in F here, okay? It's 5 steps up. Down, it's different. Oops. It's down is the opposite direction. 1, 2, 3. I think I'm doing this right. 4, 5, 6, 7. Because I encourage using the transposer all the time, but this is really just for you to, if you want to know what key you're playing in, if you're playing and some of you don't play easy play music, you play something else totally different and you transpose. Okay, let me make sure I did that right. Down, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so basically, if you have a piece of music and you're playing and you decide to transpose it, and it doesn't matter what this says. Sometimes I don't do it based on this. I do it based on how it sounds to my ear. And I'll just keep transposing it up or down. I'll go, yeah, I kind of like it in that range. And you want to know what key you're in. If your organ says this, I think it says, let me see what the screen says here. Let me see what it does. Yes, so sometimes it's interesting because they don't, I'll put this out and I'll post this out, but sometimes it does D flat or C sharp. It doesn't do both, okay? But the point is that whatever you see on your screen, if you're playing a song in the key of G, for example, and you transpose it and your organ says F, if I transposed it up 5 times, F, and I transpose it up, it's 5 times. So essentially, if you want to say to yourself, what key am I actually playing in? I start on G and I go, not counting the first note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm actually playing in the key of C. That make a little more sense, sort of? So that is musically correct. Okay? That's why some companies stop using that method and they actually just use the numbers, because then you have to count it up. Okay? But on the note of transpose, before I go to the next topic, a lot of people ask me, what's the best way to use the transpose? When do you know how to use it up or down? Well, here's what I do. I pick a style of music that I want to play. Let's just say I want to put on something like a soft and easy, just using your regular rhythm preset. Okay? Here's a great example. So this setup, I'm in the regular transpose, and I haven't transposed it, and I'm playing long. And then I come down here to play. And for me personally, you may be different. For me personally, I don't like that horn sound being that high. Okay? Now I have two options. Play down an octave, which I'll run out of keys. Can't go up an octave, it's going to go higher. So when I play down here, if I want to use that sound, and I don't like it that high personally, I'm going to transpose it down. How far down should I go? The answer is, to your ear says, hey, I like that. So sometimes I just keep transposing it. And I'm going to try it. Now you went down more. I'm going to go back up one half. And that, for me personally, works. Now, I don't know what I ended up on. I ended up on A, which was 1, 2, 3, 3 steps down, 3 half steps down.
I got a question. When
Yeah.
you transpose, doesn't it transpose on both keyboards?
Yeah, everything, not just your keyboards. It transposes everything. It transposes the keyboards plus what's happening in your rhythms.
Well, then right now, if you want to go back to the upper keyboard, you'd have to transpose again, I suppose.
No.
Hmm?
No. Everything goes up or down together.
Yeah.
Okay? So if I transpose down 1, 2, 3 here, this transposed down too.
Yeah.
The band transposed down too. Everything transposes.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
if this didn't transpose and this did,
Yeah.
and that didn't, it'd be
No.
a mess.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about that. Everything transposes up or down. It gets a little tricky sometimes, because sometimes you may have a sound here that works nicely where you're playing in that range, and you go here and you transpose, and you go, oh, maybe I need to transpose it down. And you come back up here, and this doesn't sound as good to the ears transposing down. So sometimes that happens too, where it's kind of hard to find that sweet spot, okay? But I encourage the use of the transpose, because, like we said, most of the songs are in C or F in easy play, whereas the original songs that might have been written or sung might have been in A flat, or in the key of D, or in a different key that works in that range. And then you go to play here, and it's kind of hard to sound right. And what a lot of people tend to do is they tend to go from here, and then they go up an octave instead. Well, an octave is it's a big wide range. That's 12 notes.
Yeah.
You know? So sometimes just a step, 2 steps down or 2 steps up. Okay? Any other
Okay.
questions before I go on to the next topic? All right. I had a question about this 3 times in the last 10 days from 3 different students. One was out of state and 2 in store here. And I thought, you know what? The next class I teach, I'm going to touch on this. This is a repeat. I think everything I'm doing now is repeat, except for that. I haven't spent this much time on transpose. All right. So most of you have, I think I know most of you. I know what most of you have, what organ you have. Most of you have 2 touch bars here. All right. If you have a touch screen model, you have at least 1 touch bar. All right. I believe the Lowrey Rhapsody, Sensation, I think the Sensation Performer have 1 touch bar. Other than that, most organs that have a touch screen has 2 touch bars. And they really have the same function. You can do 2 different options instead of 1, okay? And the touch bars is commonly, and actually I was with a student today who was just learning about his new organ, and and this happened, and I said to myself, I'm glad I'm talking about this. But I was playing, and I was showing him some of the presets, and as I was playing, I was going through the bank presets, and I was showing him what some of the presets were. And what happened as I was playing, what happened is the organ started to go out of tune. And I went to the next preset, and then it stopped, and I thought, I have a problem with the organ. What was happening was, he was standing there next to the organ, okay, watching me as I was demonstrating the presets to him, teaching, and he accidentally had his hand right near the touch bar, and he kind of was leaning on the block, and then occasionally his thumb was touching the right touch bar. The right touch bar, by default, on all the organs with 2 touch bars, by default is the glide sustain. And the left is, many of you know, is the fill-in or FX, okay? If you have 1 touch bar, it's default to the FX, fill-in, okay? Now, keep in mind that what I'm about to tell you is anything that I can do on the touch bar, anything that I can change, you can also change on your left and right foot switch. Okay, where your volume pedal is.
Yeah.
And anything you can do on your left and right foot switch or the touch bar, you can also do on the pedal what they call natural and black. Okay? So you can do the exact same thing all 3. So technically what you can do is you can change right touch bar as a function, left touch bar as a function, right switch, left switch, black pedal, natural pedal. You can do 6 different functions if you want. So if you're playing a song, if you want, you can have an airplane there if you want. You can put a fill-in there. Maybe the right switch you keep as your fill-in. The left switch, I don't want the glide. Maybe I'll put another sound effect. And on the, you can do up to 6 if you want. How to do it works the same way. The operation, okay? So basically, I've said this repeatedly. This is just a personal preference. It doesn't have to be you. But I always say repeatedly, let me pull up, when you push the feature clear button, okay, I think I'm on the right screen right now. Let's see what happens. I'm going to push feature. You get, by default, I'll go to page 1. Almost everyone has what you're going to see on the screen. So you might miss 1 or 2, but if you go up and you get to page, did I pass it? No. Oh, there it is. Page 9. All right. And you'll see that there's 3 options grouped together. Touch bar, foot switch, and pedal natural black. So I can basically teach this part just by using that. It's going to work the same on all 3. Okay? I'm going to do it here, so that way if I change the camera view, at least you can kind of see what I'm doing. So if you touch bar, in this case, if you have one touch bar, it'll just be one. Here it gives you two options, okay? I always thought the glide is a great feature to have because a lot of people have trouble using the foot switch for the glide, right? And I think it's pretty clever there on the right side. But I always think the right side is the wrong place for the glide because maybe it's just my style of playing. But, you know, if I put on, here's a Hawaiian. Okay, I have the Hawaiian guitar on. But to me, if you're playing, I think for most students to have to go under every time, or I think it might be difficult, challenging for most students. Now maybe I'm wrong. Maybe every one of you at home when you're playing, you just do it seamlessly. Right? Okay.
Don't use it.
Now, we have the glide on the left foot switch. I tend to think that the glide on the left foot switch is easier than doing the glide over here. But this is what I do believe is the right foot switch, the fill-in, to me is easier to use than the glide. Because the glide, as you know, takes a certain, you got to hit it, you got to hit the glide switch first, strike the note, release, and you got to do it right without keeping the volume, and you got to kind of, there's a lot of precise timing involved. Whereas the fill-in, you just got to tap it once. So my opinion is, if you want to use the fill-in on the foot switch, maybe the glide on the left touch bar is easier to use because when you're playing your chords here, whether you're a chord player or, you know, an easy one-finger player, to me it's a lot easier to have to just reach down and use your touch bar here. Okay? And so some people will ask, well, what about the fill-in? Now it's not there anymore. Well, you still have it over here you can use, but to me, here's my little trick I teach a lot of students when they're trying this out. Here's what I'll say. If you like to use the glide and you want to use that function on the touch bar, put the glide here. Save this for something else, maybe a special effect or something. Use the right foot switch for your fill-in. Oh, I don't want to move my foot around. And so here's what you do. Turn on the organ, put your volume pedal at 100%. Okay? So right now I've got my gas pedal down at max. Now before you do this, turn down the organ really low. Okay? I'm going to turn it down to almost nothing. Now I'm going to hit a note. Tell me if you can hear this. Kind of hear it in there? Okay.
Yep.
All right. It's very faint, isn't it? It's very soft here. And then once your foot pedal's at 100%, just put on a rhythm, just play, and then increase your volume to what's maximum for your ears. Now I'm going to stop there only because that's my maximum based on the settings I had earlier, okay? But now my foot is on the expression pedal at 100%. I don't have to worry about trying to keep it in between. That's where some students have the challenge. They're trying to keep it in between without making the volume go in left and right. I like having that ability to change the volume, but for someone that's learning to use the foot switch and the switches, I say put your foot down, put it all the way, control the volume here. So now, no matter what I do, this is as loud as it's going to get for me. As loud as it's going to get for you. So now my foot's all the way down, and I can very easily slide to the right. Because I don't have to worry about the volume. It's already at its max. You can't get any more max than that. Now, if you put this up too high and you put this and you're trying to keep it, then that's what happens when people start doing this. And they start doing some weird dance on the bench and you startle yourself. So that's kind of the little trick. And then you can use sometimes you can use other features for the touch bar by using what you need on the expression pedal. So going back to the touch bar here, feature, touch bar. So now what I'm going to do is touch the left one, which is defaulted to fill, and maybe I'll put that on glide instead. So now when I'm playing, so you can program that. Now, as you see there, it says glide sustain. All right? That's done intentionally. And when Bill Curry, I'm guessing, programmed this, he made sure that every instrument that should glide will glide when that sound is activated. Okay? So right now I happen to have Hawaiian guitars. They tend to bend. But if you have a sound on like a piano, let's see if I can find a piano here. Okay, now I'm going to use the touch bar. It's not doing it. Now watch what happens. It knows based on, well, it knows because that's what Bill programmed it to do. So it knows what instruments should bend and which should sustain. So that applies to the touch bar wherever you put the glide. Okay? If you use the switch, it works the same way. Just depends on where you have it. Well, here's what happens, which gets tricky. Does the guitar bend?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Guess what? I'm giving you the correct answer. Yes
Yeah,
and no.
Steel guitar does.
Yes and no. It depends on which guitar you have on.
Yeah, steel
Right.
guitar
So
does.
let me see if I can
Guitar
find.
will, but
Let's see if I can
electric
find one.
will.
Yeah, let's see what we got here. That's a country guitar.
By leaning on the glide, you will, yeah.
Yeah, so that bends. This one here, let's see if it bends. Not bending. It's an acoustic guitar. So the acoustic guitar, watch. Now I'm going to hold the touch bar down. Actually does a
building.
sustain. So you're going to find that some guitars will glide or bend, and some will do the sustain. Okay? And then you'll have some that don't do anything. Like if you put on, I don't know, marimbas maybe. I'd have to try it. It won't bend. It may not even do a sustain. It might. Some may not do anything at all. On the note of the glide is a little trick I taught a while back at some point. But think about an organ sound. Okay, here's a... All right, now listen to this. So you all have on the B-Bank from the factory 11 Hammond type organ sounds. Now I'm using the foot switch. Let's see. Oh, I deactivated it. Okay, so I'm using the foot switch. Now come back to the touch bar. So organ sounds typically don't glide or bend. It's like this one here. I'm using the switch, it's not bending. It's not bending at all. Now watch. I'm going to do the same thing now. Let's see here. Same sound. You notice it bend, right? If you have an organ sound on, like in this case, I do it a lot with the jazz organ sounds. If you have a sound on in the solo section that bends, that glides, okay, then what'll happen is it wants to glide the organ sound as well. And the reason is this. Let me turn it on. I have a saxophone. I wouldn't use a saxophone with organ, but okay. So if I have that saxophone and I bend it, okay, if it's going to bend it half a down, the organ's going to want to bend everything else down with it. So, because if it didn't, it would sound off key and out of tune and everything. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll put on a nice classic organ sound like I just put on here. A nice, real nice jazz organ for those big band and swing numbers. And then I'll put on a solo sound that bends and then turn it down. So you don't hear the saxophone, but it's still on. And so what happens is when I use the glide, so neat little trick. Some of the presets in the beat bank do it for you. So watch. This one does not. I put it on the B2. So they programmed it in a way so that when you get to certain presets, it bends it for you automatically. Side note. Let me go back to the touch bar. So back to the touch bar. I got the glide. I kind of set it back to default there. So let's see here. So you can do the fill. You can do a glide.
Your camera picture's gone haywire.
Uh-oh, I picked the wrong camera.
Yep.
I have 5 different camera options. That was not one of them. How about that? There we go.
That sounds good.
There we go. All right, so there's the glide. Let me go back to fill. I go down, there's glide. If I go up, there's tap tempo. In tap tempo, a lot of you have a button that says tap tempo, but right now I'm changing what's on the touch bar. So basically, this touch bar is now set to do a tap tempo. And all that means is you tap it out, the speed that you want the song. Sometimes it's hard to figure out the tempo by putting on a rhythm. You know, if I put on Frank and the Count, put the drummer on, and I put the drummer on, and I say to myself, that's too slow or too fast. What I recommend is try not to count the speed that you want it at while it's playing. Okay? Because you'll tend to want to play at the tempo to the beat. It's kind of hard to, it's almost hard to try to create your own tempo while it's going. So it's better to go, you know what, I want to do something really fast and upbeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. That's what the tap tempo does. Start or stop and auto start stop are very similar. This is one that always stumps people from time to time. Start stop means this. If you start it If you use the touch bar to start it, it'll do just that. If you touch the touch bar again, it'll stop it. But here's where it fools people, is once you stop it, okay, now I'm going to hit a chord and watch what happens. It doesn't start. I have to kind of start it again. Okay, so start, stop. When you activate that feature, if you stop it by using that touch bar in this case, then what happens is you have to touch it again or actually manually press the start button to get it going again. The advantage to that, the short answer is, sometimes we're playing a song, we get to a part of the song, we want to stop and play without a rhythm, and then we want to start back up. So watch. Start it back up. Okay, so that's how you use start stop. The auto start stop is similar, but the difference is this is the one that most people use over start stop. Okay, and it does exactly what it says. So in other words, same rhythm, I stop it, but this time the minute I play a chord again, it'll start back up. Hence, auto start. For me, that's a little bit easier to use sometimes, but you can't play the left hand if you want to not have the rhythm come in, because then it's going to automatically start. All right, and then you have a whole mess of other features. We'll get through a few of them today. Some of them I can spend a long time on, so let me just see what else we got here. Some of them are pretty obvious. Transpose up. You can. This is a very common one that I recommend to use. You'll find that 99.99% of the time when we're playing songs, want to repeat the song or repeat a verse, we always transpose up a half a step. Very commonly, we go up in half steps. So it's good to have that feature nearby. And I hit it twice, so I went up 2 half steps. Okay? And of course, you saw it already, you can increase or decrease the tempo. That comes in handy. Some songs start off slow, some start off fast. New York, New York, for example. I want to say it's at a tempo of 120 in that range. Most people play at 130. And then at the end of the song, it slows down, starts spreading the new, and then it goes real slow. Sometimes people have the organ set with the tempo, or they have it set so that when they're playing, let me see if I could find New York Swing. Where is it? Where are you, New York Swing? New York Swing. You are under the, is it the Broadway? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Okay. So New York Swing, so it comes up at 120. You put on the, then get to the end of the song, yeah, you can, now I hit the decreased tempo as I was playing, and I went from 120 to 103. Okay? You can do other little fun things like program your intros if you have 2 intros and endings. These are just little things that make it easier along the way. Fade in and fade out, you can program it. You can have it do nothing. You can program the no chord, the favorite smash chord. You know, a lot of people just do the smash. Sometimes, I don't know if this happened to you, and some people like to hit the 3 notes, but to me, if you're playing, you have to think about, I like to just go, and sometimes I go, and it doesn't get it. Do the note chord already. Or you can program it on the touch bar, and then, so there, you could have some fun with the touch bars. Now, the thing about the touch bars, I run into occasionally, some students are afraid to make the changes with these touch bars. We'll go, actually, I'll do this in the next, I'll pick up where I left off and then I'll go on to a new topic. But a lot of people are afraid to make changes with the touch bar because they're going to goof up the organ. Well, what'll happen here is, let me pull up the screen. There's a couple things. Now you're going to notice, let me put it to transpose up, okay? Now tell me if it changes. You see it went back to the default? Okay, you see that? Now let me do it again. I'll put it on there. And then tell me if it changes. I'm going to push a different button. It didn't change, did it? Okay, now let me tell you what I did. So when this happens, you go, oh, that's the way it works. If you make any changes to the touch bar, okay, and as long as you're using your rhythms and your rhythm presets, okay, it will remain the way you have it. So if I put in an intro and ending or whatever, it stays. If I decide to go to my bank presets, the factory ones, plus if you put in your own, what it'll do is it'll default back to the way the factory has it. Because those bank presets are programmed specifically to be in that way. Okay? That's why if you change it and you have some of your own custom presets you use and you load it in, well, custom presets are designed to work, you save the touch bar, right? So if you touch A2 and you might have had that touch bar saved a certain way, so when you're using the bank presets, it'll change the touch bars the way this has been saved. And from the factory, they're saved to be fill and glide. Okay? So again, if you change these, if I change it to glide here, and I'll keep it a glide there, okay? If I put on rhythm preset, and I pick a rhythm, it's staying in the exact same position as I had it. So it will remain in that way. Now let me just go a step further, see what happens if I put on a category preset. Now let me see if it changed. And it remained. So category presets and setups, rhythm presets will allow you to save the way you save the touch bar or the pedals or the foot switches. You can do the exact same thing on all 3, okay? But the minute you put on a bank preset, it'll change it back to the way that bank preset was programmed. If it's from the factory, then it's always going to be fill and glide. Okay? Here's
Also,
my
when you select
recommendation.
song setup.
What's that?
When you use song setup, we'll also change them.
Let's see. chances are you're correct, and probably
Friends,
because I'm going to put
Pennsylvania 65,000.
Let's see. I just put the
Change
first
them.
one I saw. Let's just see what happens. Now I put on 42nd Street rag, and it kept it the same. Let me change
Most
the
of them
date.
will probably keep it the same, but it's the unusual sounds. Like in Pennsylvania 65,000, it uses the telephone in the
Oh,
touch
okay.
bar.
Well,
So
a
it will
song.
change
Well,
it.
keep in mind, a song setup is really a preset.
Yeah.
It works like a preset. So it could be the way that the preset was programmed. Let me just try another one here. ABC. That still says, so I'm sure there are probably some song setups that do change it because maybe that song setup was designed to use a special effect or sound effect or something. And so if that happens, just know that that's normal, that it's changing for a reason. So what I discovered is rhythm presets or style setups, category presets or category setups, they will keep it on the same. There might be one that changes it, but maybe it's done for a specific reason. Song setups, I tried 3, it didn't change it. Pennsylvania 65,000, it's intended to have that telephone ringing at a certain part of the song, so it probably programs it intentionally that way. Okay? I can keep rambling on and on and on. So hopefully, I had 2 totally different ends of the spectrum here as far as what I wanted to talk about. So hopefully you got something out of that with the touch bars and using the transpose. Okay? Stay on the lookout. Next week, I'm probably not going to have a class, but I'm going to have one the following week. And if you want to, I have a bunch of these that have been recorded. A majority of them are on our YouTube channel. All of them are on our Patreon, okay? So there's hours worth of stuff there, okay? So stay on the lookout, and as always, stay safe, everybody. Keep playing music every day. I'm going to add to what I normally say by saying, be kind to one another. Be nice to an organ salesperson, too. Anyway, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. See you real soon. If you have any questions. Yes.
Robert, do you ever hear from Marco Mendez?
I talk to Marco at least once or twice a week.
Does he ever come back here and play anymore?
He does.